What is up, everybody? Welcome to Spittin' Basketball, a show where we talk all things basketball. I'm your host, Logan Ryan, and we're going to be kicking things off today with a 30-pick first-round NBA mock draft. For reference, I'm not going to be doing what the teams are going to be doing, and this is not a prediction. This is what I would do with the pick. Just a little intro to my channel. We're going to do a lot of off-season stuff. During the season, we'll be talking a lot about current events, games, coach firings, coach hiring, stuff like that. Yeah. Cut the shit out. Anyways, with the first pick, we got the Hawks. I think this pick is pretty much guaranteed to be Alex Sarr. Big man out of France, from Australia. He reminds me of Jaren Jackson Jr. a little bit with his ability to space the floor and block shots. He's just a little more raw than Jaren was coming out of Michigan State. But I think they trade Capella, play Sarr at the 5. Okongwu he's getting screwed over. He can come off the bench for another year, even though I'm a big Okongwu guy. But if they keep Trey, Sarr fits. If they trade Trey, Sarr fits. No matter what, he's the fit Atlanta wants. And by the way, if people are talking about how weak this draft is, I actually quite like the depth of this draft and the role players you're going to find in this draft. So, I think Alex Sarr, and though he's not going to be some superstar, I could easily see him carving out a Marcus Camby, Jaren Jackson Jr. role where he plays 12 to 15 years and good defender, good shooter. Now on the clock at pick 2, we have the Wizards, and they're in a weird spot. They need a big and they need a point guard. They're loaded with wings, but the best player on the board is Reese Chair. And they have a bunch of wings. They have Avdia, Kispert, Bilal Coulibaly. I don't think they need another wing, but you should draft BPA. And I think they figure it out and take Reese Chair. The French forward gives me Mikal Bridges flashes a little bit with his potential to be a two-way player. But, I like the jumper. I like the scoring ability. But he's not a guy who needs the ball in his hands to get buckets. So, fit-wise, it's going to be interesting what they do. I could easily see them moving out from Kispert, trying something with Denny at the 1. It's interesting. It's an idea. I think Denny has the playmaking chops to do it, but, I think they go Reese Chair here. On the clock at 3, we have the Rockets, who have Brooklyn's first from the awful James Harden trade. Houston, they're in a non-lose spot here. I wouldn't mind seeing them trade this for Mikal or a Jeremy Grant type player. Something like that, a wing that could help them win now. But if they keep the pick, I don't see them not taking Reed Sheppard. Jalen Green's future, I wouldn't say it's in limbo, but there's a possibility he gets traded. And with Sheppard, you can just slide him in at the 2, you can slide him in at the 1. If Van Fleet's gone eventually, I'm a Kentucky fan. I watch Reed Sheppard play every game this year. He's got the highest floor in the draft, I think, with his shooting ability, good playmaker. Defensively, he gives effort. He's not bad there. And I feel like Reed Sheppard, he's going to play a long, long time in this league and be of value to any team he goes to. I think Reed Sheppard is the safest pick in this draft. On the clock at 4, we have the Spurs. The Spurs they're talking about getting a veteran point guard, which I like for them, someone who could just get Wembanyama the ball. But I kind of like the idea of them getting a veteran like a DeJounte Murray, but I would go for more of a Malcolm Brogdon type, so you can draft a point guard. He can learn under Brogdon for a few years, and then he's ready to contend with Wembanyama. And point guard-wise, it's Topic, who just had bad injury news, so I don't know if he goes here. Castle, is he a point guard? Is he a 2 guard? Is he a small forward? Who knows? Dillingham, not really the playmaking type. And I like freaking Isaiah Collier a lot, but I don't think he'll go here at 4. So for the Spurs, I think they take Stephon Castle. He has defensive versatility for sure. He could play any position 1 through 3. Jump shot's questionable. It's just, I don't think he's a 1, but there's that point guard potential, But they've said Vassell and Wembanyama are the only guys they're keeping. So if they move on from Keldon, move on from Sohan, move on from Branham, Stephon Castle going to slide in at the 3 or slide in the 2, move Vassell to the 3 while you still have a point guard. So I feel like Stephon Castle's a versatile pick who adds defense to him, like him and Wembanyama defensive core is pretty solid. At 5, the Detroit Pistons, God, they're in a weird spot. All the guys they would have wanted right here are off the board. They have their backcourt, I guess, but I don't know if Ivy is really the future. Detroit should just take best player available. Like, they're that bad. But a Topic-Cunningham backcourt is just weird to me. I think they should take the flyer on Buzelis, and I would take the flyer on Buzelis. He had a rough year for the G League jump shooting-wise. His bag is interesting. He's not blowing by people. Doesn't really have a step-back game. He's just a tall wing that might have a good jump shot and might be a good defender. I don't think Buzelis will be good for his first at least 2 years, but if you get him working, learning from guys like Cade Cunningham, maybe sign a veteran like a Tobias Harris, Derrick Jones Jr., someone like that, I think Buzelis could be eventually turn into a really solid NBA player, and Detroit needs that. Now, are they in position to be taking a flyer? Who knows, but you got to take, in my opinion, potential here because you're not going to be good for a little bit. On the clock at 6, we have the Hornets. Now, the Hornets, in my opinion, they're 1 or 2 pieces away from being a play-in team next year. I really like the Charles Lee hire. I mean, LaMelo healthy, that's an if. Mark Williams healthy, that's an if. But Brandon Miller showed a lot last year. A 2 guard and maybe a 4, and this team is, I think they're cooking. Now, Topic and LaMelo, that's weird ball handling wise. I think they take Rob Dillingham. He fits the Rozier type, that a crafty shot creator at the undersized 2 guard, you know. He can play next to LaMelo. He can come off the bench and be a spark plug. You have Trey Mann, I get it. He showed flashes. Micic is a solid veteran, but I feel like Dillingham would be, he's just a younger, cheaper Terry Rozier. So I like that fit next to LaMelo. Portland at 7 with one of their 2 lottery picks. Portland, they have veterans. Like, do they trade Brogdon? Do they trade Ayton? Do they trade Grant? Like, do they trade Robert Williams, Thibault? If they want to keep those guys, you could take flyers here. But if you have Topic on the board at 7, despite the injury concerns, I would take Topic here. I feel like if Scoot's not the guy, I'm not giving up on the kid yet, but if Scoot is not the guy, you have Topic here. Hell, you could play Topic and Scoot together. Shooting-wise, it's whatever. I think Topic's shot will be fine, but this is just good backup guard insurance anyways. Like, Topic, even if he's just a really good backup point guard, that's good value at 7, especially for this draft. The Spurs at 8. What a win for the Jakob Poeltl trade, Jesus. They took Castle at 4. Now, I feel like you get shooting around Wembanyama and you go Dalton Connect. Dalton Connect, he's a really talented offensive player. Mid-range game, 3-point game, driving. He's just tough. He gets to his spots, and I think he's a really crafty player. I don't think he's just going to be a catch-and-shoot guy. Like, I could see him being a guy who gets to his spots, like little step-back middies, dribble drives. Like, Connect he's a bucket. Like, he's not just a catch-and-shoot guy. This guy gets buckets. And with Wembanyama, you need those type of people. And I think that he'd be perfect. Double teaming Wembanyama. Boom, connect in the corner, pump fake drive. Like, it's going to be there all day with him. And if you can eventually get a Castle, Vassell, Connect, Sohan, Wembanyama 5, like, I like that a lot. Now on the board at 9 is Memphis. This team is going to be a top 10 team next year, you assume, when healthy. But they might lose Zaire Williams to avoid the tax. They might lose Luke Kennard to avoid the tax. They're going to be ducking the tax. And this could be a win-now player. But I think they draft someone who could step in, maybe be the smart replacement, you know, when he's done. Something like that. Maybe be the 5th starter next to the 4 with Jaren, Ja, Bane, and Smart. That 4, you could use a 5th starter there. And I think that could be Ron Holland. Defense, jump shot's interesting. He could drive. He was a top prospect coming out of high school. I think Ron Holland, he's got a very safe floor in this draft too. I'd say he's a top 5 floor with top 5 upside. Like, I think Ron Holland's going to be really good. And if you can get a defensive-minded, like a big three-headed monster defensively of Ron Holland, Jaren Jackson, and Marcus Smart with John Baines' offense, like, that's a top 3 seed in the West in a few years, I think. Now on the clock at 10, you got the Utah Jazz. I don't know. Are they trading Markkanen? Are they trading Clarkson? Are they trading Sexton? Are they trading Collins? Is Walker Kessler their future 5? I don't know how Clingan has fallen this far, but he reminds me too much of a Walker Kessler type. So I don't know if I go Clingan here. I'm going to go Devin Carter. I don't know if he's been played point guard, but I think they move on from Clarkson and Sexton this offseason. I think Keontae George can be your point guard. And there was recently just announced there was a promise for Devin Carter to go in the lottery. I think the Jazz might be that team. Like, they have the offense with Markkanen and Collins and George. Devin Carter is going to do the dirty work and, like, dive for loose balls and go get some offensive rebounds and get in your face defensively. Like, he's the perfect fit for the Jazz. Like, I don't think Markkanen could be a 1 for them. They could have taken a flyer on a Cody Williams or a Jacoby Walter. It could be more of an offensive threat. But I like the idea of Devin Carter in Utah. Plus, it's just a jazzy type, Danny Ainge type of pick. The Bulls at 11. There's Clingan's on the board. Learn under Vucevic. Like, it's a perfect fit. Like, that's the most obvious pick of the draft so far if Clingan falls to 11. Now, the Bulls are not the smartest organization, but I feel like if you can get Clingan, that helps you win now for your quote-unquote play-in aspirations with that core that you're somehow going to keep, but also helps your future with Kobe, Ayo, Clingan, maybe Patrick Williams is in there. Like, I don't mind that future at all. Pick 12, the Thunder, my team. Tough playoff loss this year. The team needs shooting, the team needs rebounding. And although people want Cody Williams for the J-Dub connections, team needs shooting, team needs rebounding. I'm going Jared McCain. Best shooter in the draft besides Reed Shepard, in my opinion. The jumper looks so smooth. I know you have Joe, you have Wallace, you have Giddey, who might be gone, but why not take a shooter like Jared McCain? I don't think Isaiah Joe is guaranteed to be on the team next year. He steps into the Joe spot and fits perfectly, so I think McCain's the pick here. Kings at 13 can easily move this pick. There's been talks about them moving this pick. They're in a weird spot because the West is just too stacked. And I don't think a player at 13 helps them get over the hump. So maybe moving this pick's a good idea. But no trades in this mock. So at 13, I think if a player like Cody Williams is there for the Kings, you would take that shot. Now, I don't think he's going to be the greatest contributor day one. I still think he has the ability to contribute day one. It's just all about how he how quickly he develops. He can easily be 8 point per game, 45% from the field guy year one, or he could just not play at all. You know, I don't see a crazy high ceiling for Cody, but I see he has the shot-making chops. I think there's a frame defensively there. It's just Sacramento, they could lose Monk, so you want Cody to be your backup 2 guard. I think it's quite possible. Portland at 14, second of their 2 lottery picks. And who did they take at 7? They took Topic. I think they take... is this where Zach Edey goes? I don't think they should take Edey. So I'm going to go to John Saloon. I don't know if I said that right, but I was watching film this guy the other day. Jumper's interesting, like mechanically. Field goal percentage, 3-point percentage wasn't great. You see guys like Bilal Coulibaly develop in the NBA, just tall, lanky wings from Europe. But there's also the Ousmane Dieng thing, where he hasn't developed at all. So it's an interesting idea of these French tall wings. But Portland, they could easily take a flyer on the guy. They have the depth, so they could afford to have a guy sit for a few years, and I think Saloon's the guy. Miami at 15. What do they do? Are they trading Hero? Are they getting Donovan Mitchell? I don't think so. I don't think they have the assets to. So I think, looking at the board here, I like Furphy. God, Isaiah Collier. Isaiah Collier is the pick here. Terry Rozier, although he looked good, really good in Charlotte this year, his time in Miami was interesting. He didn't look the same, you know. The team had a lot of injuries. It just wasn't the best fit for him this year. Now, easily, the team could turn it around next year. Rozier looks like a good fit. Hero's the playmaker. Butler. yeah, Bam, like, that 4 is really solid. But if Rozier is just a streaky six-man type, you could take a guy like Collier, who easily could be your franchise point guard. I see flashes of De'Aaron Fox and John Wall in this guy's game. Like, his ability to get to the cup and get tough shots off is really good. Playmaking's iffy, but I think he can even be your 6th, 7th man next year and put up 11, 12 a night as a rookie and show some flashes. And you might be trading Terry Rozier in the 2025 offseason if you have a guy like Isaiah Collier. I mean, he's going to fall past at least the top 10 in this draft somehow. And if you get him, if he's on the board at 15, I think it's an easy snag. Philly at 16. This is a team that has hella cap space. Do they want to take a rookie in a cap space? I mean, they're going to need roster spots, so probably. This all depends on who they want to sign. If they want to sign Paul George, I don't know if they take a wing here, but I don't know. Like Jacoby Walter, he's too much of a maxi type. I think they go Tristan da Silva. This is a guy, a wing from Colorado. He's just a really well-rounded, talented player who could fit in 7th, 8th man. He can even fit the Batum spot at the 4 if he wanted to. I don't know if they do that year 1, but I see a lot of potential in Da Silva being a 8-9 year player, shoots career 38, 39 from 3, and helps winning at a high level. That's the type of player I see Da Silva being. The Lakers are keeping their pick at 17. Pelicans deferred it, hoping that the Lakers kind of fall apart. But it's not. I don't think it should be. It's not going to be Bronny. I don't think it should be Bronny. Bronny's a second-round prospect, but you never know. If they're hiring Dan Hurley, I mean, I don't see them taking Bronny here. And when there's a talent like Jacoby Walter on the board for you at 17, who has really high offensive potential, he can even be a guy post-LeBron era. Like, you got to take it. He kind of reminds me of Lonnie Walker, who is a great fit for the Lakers in terms of the way he gets his buckets, the shiftiness, the shot-making ability, and just slide him right in that backup 2 position. And I think you got yourself a really, really solid player and a good pick at pick 17. 18, Orlando. Are they a Paul George team? Who knows? But this team needs a guard. I don't think they take a rookie guard. I think they take a shooter in Johnny Furphy. The Australian kid, he's a sniper. Catch and shoot sniper. His bag and off the dribble stuff's interesting, but they're not going to need him to be that when you have Banchero and you have Cole Anthony, like Franz Wagner, Johnny Furphy, stand in the corner, stand on the wing, dribble drives with Paolo and Franz, double team, kick it out Furphy. He'll knock down 40 to 42% of his threes. Like, he's a sniper. He's a safe pick here. Despite his youth, I think Johnny Furphy is one of the higher floor players in this draft just because of his jump shot. Toronto at 19 via the Siakam trade. Is Jakob Poeltl their future center? I doubt it. Zach Edey is Canadian, so this fit makes a lot of sense. I'm not a huge Zach Edey guy, but at 19, I think that's around where he should go. Is he going to be able to run and keep up in the NBA? I don't know. But he's shown playmaking ability at Purdue, mainly because they're doubling him and tripling him, but I feel like there is a potential where he's a solid backup 5 that puts up 9 and 7 every year. But, I think at 19, you're not going to be great next year. Take the flyer on him, and maybe he turns out to be what everyone thinks he's going to be. Cleveland at 20. What's going on this offseason? I think Mitchell signs an extension. Are they trading Garland or are they trading Allen? They have to break up the core. Not break up the core, but they need a new starter in there. Either a new center or a new point guard. I don't think they can run this back next year. But with this pick, I think they invest in the backup 5. You can't have Tristan Thompson being your backup 5. I think they take Kel'el Ware. My personal favorite prospect and gem in this draft. I watch him play, and I just see a guy with jump shooting potential, good lob threat, soft touch, good at the rim, really skilled offensive player. I watch him play, not to overreact to him, but I see shades of a young Anthony Davis offensively, just with the touch and the finesse and the way he gets his buckets. I like Khalil Ware quite a bit. I'm not saying he's going to be Anthony Davis because he's nowhere near that on the defensive side of the basketball, but the touch and the versatility of his offensive game, like, I think Khalil Ware is going to be a player in the NBA. He could eventually be a Mobley or Allen replacement. Like, I think he's that good, and taking him at 20, man, that's a steal. The Drew Holiday trade. Pelicans at 21. They need a 1 and they need a 5. It's been the thing all the last 2 or 3 years for this team. I'm not a big Filipowski guy, but he fits what they need at the 5 when that's floor spacing. And at the 1, Bub Carrington, Kolek, Juan Nunez. I don't know. I think they take Filipowski, and I think it's an okay fit. Valanciunas they'll probably let walk. I like Larry Nance. He could start for a year while Filipowski sort of comes off the bench. The Duke connection with him and Zion. He's a floor spacer. I think it's a solid fit, you know. Suns, they need to hit on this pick. They have only minimum contracts to give out in free agency. Like, this guy needs to be a contributor. You can't take a Kaishan George or a Bobby Clinton or Tyler Smith. You need someone who's going to contribute now. And looking at the board, I think it's a Kevin McCullough Jr. The Kansas product's me a solid playmaker, rebounder, shooter, good at driving, good finisher. Like, I think I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's your 7th, 6th man in the rotation next year because of how little assets they have to get better, you know. And I think although this pick isn't necessarily helping the post-KD era, I think it helps him now, and I think this is similar to like the Cam Johnson type of pick. Older prospect, you know what you're getting. He's going to be solid. I think that's McCullough summed up. The Bucks at 23, swap with the Pelicans. They're in an interesting spot too. They need a win-now player because they're not going to have many assets in the offseason. Do you take, like, there's options to take Yves Missi, get your Brooke Lopez replacement, but Portis is sort of your backup 5. Could be the backup 4. They need more of a guard or a wing. And, God. Terrence Shannon, offensive threat from Illinois. This guy's just a bucket getter. I mean, I know you have a lot of those in Lillard and Giannis and Middleton and Portis, but you don't have that crafty 6-man type lefty that Terrence Shannon is. Like, this guy gets his shots off. He gets to his spots. He's crafty. I like Terrence Shannon. I think 23 is good value for him. Another older guy, so I don't think they're high on Marjon Beauchamp anymore after his first few years, how it's went. And I think Terrence Shannon could be a really solid contributor day one, and not only that, but for the future of this team. Knicks at 24. I don't think they keep both their first-round picks, but for this exercise, they're gonna. I think Tyler Kolek makes the most sense here. I don't think Deuce McBride's a backup point guard. Just lack of ball handling and playmaking ability. And that is exactly the opposite of Tyler Kolek. Great playmaker, really solid ball handle, understands the sport, perfect tips guy. He's going to be like a TJ McConnell type in the NBA. He's going to play a very long time, and I think the Knicks, he can definitely help them make their goals of a finals within a few years. Like, he's going to Peyton Pritchard help that was a perfect pick for Boston because he runs second unit perfectly, and I think Kolek can be the same type of guy. Now they're picking again here. With uncertainty at the center position, I think they take a flyer on Yves Missi here. Yves Missi, I don't know what to make of him. He's the lob threat, essentially. That's what he was at Baylor, but I think he can be more than that defensively with his athleticism. I think him and Mitchell Robinson are very comparable. And I think if you lose Hartenstein, Yves Missi can just slot in and be your backup 5, and you'll have no qualms about it. He's solid. 26, Washington. They took Reset Jarrett too, or they did? So if they need a point guard, Buck Carrington. The true freshman had his ups and downs at Pitt, sort of an empty stat guy, but he looked really good at the combine. And I feel like he's a guy that, though you don't want to start him year one, he can get significant playing time for a team that's not playing for anything. I like Bub Carrington a lot. I think he's got future starting point guard potential in the NBA. I really do. Minnesota at 27. I have had this mocked for a long time. It's Kaishan George. I watched some film of this kid. His jumper looks good. His finishing at the rim looks really solid, and I think he could be he's a taller guard, slim, slender, gets the paint easily. Like, it might take him a few years, but I'm a big Kaishan George guy, and give him a few years, and I could see him being a really crafty combo guard, you know. Denver at 28. Denver at 28. Huh. I don't know if Denver should take anyone here, just because they're youth on the bench already with Braun and Strother and Peyton Watson and Zeke Naji and Hunter Tyson and Jalen Pickett. Like, their bench is already young. But if they're taking someone here, Tyler Smith, take a flyer on the kid. I love his jump shot. I love the size. It's just, how is his game translate from the Ignite? He's really, really raw. You want to take a flyer on the kid, and he could be a guy post Jokic era, or even like end of the Jokic era, who steps up. He's a Michael Porter-esque, and his jump shot is just so smooth and so solid. And I think he could slot in the Michael Porter role eventually, where he's just, all right, catch and shoot, catch and shoot, catch and shoot. But for right now, you take a flyer on Tyler Smith, he doesn't have to play right away, because you're going to have guys like even Vlatko Kankar and Peyton Watson. You're going to get someone in free agency who maybe could play the backup four for you. Like, let Smith learn. Let him even play in the G League. And he can get experience in watching the guys in Denver go far in the playoffs. So I think Tyler Smith's a great fit for Denver. Utah 29. Earlier, who did they take? Let's see. They took Devin Carter. I think you take more of an upside pick here, and that's Bobby Quintman. Haven't really got to him much. From my understanding, he's the big big four, who's athletic, has jump shot potential. I think he could learn from a guy like John Collins. He has that type of build and could be that type of player. So, Quintman at 29. And the last pick of the first round, you have the Boston Celtics. God, Brad Stevens is going to find something here. He always does. They could really use a bench piece, because next year you're going to have probably three, unless Horford retires after winning a ring potentially. But I think you're going to have Pritchard, Hauser, and Horford with needing 2 bench spots. I think one of the spots could be Ryan Dunn. Best defensive player in the draft, I think. Literally, like, he's going to be an all-defensive level defender right away. Just the offense, there's a lot of question marks. Jump shot, I don't think it exists. But if you get someone who can, he all has to do is put up 4 or 5 points a game, but can defend at a high level with guys like Derek White, guys like Jaylen Brown, Drew Holiday. Those are good mentors for a guy like him. He's like Tony Allen. It's the perfect comp for him. You don't need to be an offensive player to contribute to winning. And I think Ryan Dunn, like Boston at 30, that's a Brad Stevens pick. It's a good pick. And so that is my mock draft. Let me know how you thought it went. Let me know what you would have done differently. But I think it went pretty well. That is it. I'll see you guys next time. Keep a lookout. A lot of free agency stuff. A lot of trade stuff. A lot of trade reactions.